Today we're playing a game called Terraria. It's a game that looks simple on the surface, but it has a surprising amount of depth to it. There's enemies, crafting, bosses, different class systems, and some surprising friends along the way. It's so cute! This is 100-ish days of Terraria. We start out customizing our character where there was a surprising amount of options. With the character creation and world setup out of the way, we spawn into our first day ever in Terraria. I have never seen content, I have never played this game, so it is going to be an interesting journey. We immediately cut down a tree to collect some wood for crafting, and as I said, this is my first time playing Terraria, so we struggled a lot. The little successes. As it started getting dark, we turned some of the wood that we collected into walls, and we foolishly placed the walls thinking that it would serve as some kind of barrier between us and the enemies. It was a wall after all, but that does not appear to be the case. Getting comfortable with a few of the controls, we decided to head over a giant hill that was right by our spawn, and then deciding that we had gone too far, we needed to return home. I think we're gonna double back. I think we've gone quite a ways. At nearly the end of day one, we finally broke ground with our pickaxe and started mining. We worked feverishly through the night mining and collecting and found our first treasure chest. Oh, it's a nice armored step, a nice armored step stool. All right, I think it's time we probably head back. It feels like we've made it pretty far. Oh, my naive little self. We've barely even scratched the surface of how vast this land is, and we've set the world to small. Returning to our base, we went on a bit of a crafting spree. We crafted and placed a furnace, an anvil, allowing us to turn copper into bars and then into a broadsword, and we created more torches for our dark endeavors, some armor, and... oh wait! We can make a yo-yo? I'm sure we'll impress some enemies with our sick tricks later, but I think we're just going to do some armor for now. So we triumphed over the hill and set out to explore the land a little bit. Oh, what are you? It's like a flying amoeba with an eye and a pincer. You're hideous. And we couldn't take the horrific sights, and we jumped directly to our death. After respawning, we set out in the opposite direction where we came across a desert, and we mined our first copper ore. Setting our sights downward, we started exploring the desert underground. I think we can mine this way just a little. Oh no! Oh no. We got buried to death. As nightfall came, we were greeted with zombies, and after fighting a few, we headed back directly under our base, as that was the only place that we've been able to explore that we didn't get deleted. To start our morning off the right way, we came across the mine track again and committed a little vehicular manslaughter. Alright, so we're gonna explore back this way. Oh my, rest in peace, slime. Oh no, what a way to go. While exploring, we came across more new ore and new enemies. Oh, okay, that's an earthworm. I'm sorry, Jim, but just remember when I kill you that you started this. We came across a nice blue cave where we found a life crystal that granted us an extra 20 health. And then continuing downward, we continued to discover new environments and new enemies. Oh no, this enemy's coming for us and we're trapped. We have nowhere that we can go. Okay. He almost got us. Alright, you're not going to get me this time. Let's go sideways so that we can lure the next one to us. As we continued exploring, we jumped into unknown situations and eventually noticed another treasure chest. Although we tried, we weren't able to hit the enemies through the wall, and so we charged in with our best Leroy Jenkins impression, but unlike him, we survived. Alright, what do we have this time? Nice. Ooh, an eye. Our inventory was getting rather full, so we returned to the surface and turned all of our lead into bars. We used another recall potion. Oops. And then we crafted a chest to store our stuff in. We upgraded our sword to tungsten, created a heavy workbench, upgraded our pickaxe, and restocked torches again. And feeling confident by our successful underground endeavor, I crushed the gross eye that we picked up. Oh no, that's quite a bit of health. I'm not so sure we were ready for this. Were we prepared for this fight? No, probably not. But after learning his attack patterns and very slowly whittling away at his health for about 5 minutes, he flew away. After talking to the guide, he suggested we build some homes. So we channeled our inner Chip and Joanna, aiming to craft our first home. Sadly, it took almost 2/3 of this entire day just figuring out how to build a house. All right, nobody ever accused me of being artistic, but is it functional? Yes. and then we built a second and a third home before heading out to explore the desert. We came across a few fallen stars, a jungle environment, and another chest with various items. We continued exploring on the ground, pushing past the jungle area, and things were going very well. That is until we thought we were a celebrity appearing on Nickelodeon because we got slimed. But since we were back in town, we took the opportunity to see what our residents were selling. We bought a piggy bank and built 2 more homes. And then using the fallen stars that we picked up, we crafted a star gem, granting us more mana, and then we created some wooden platforms. This time we were determined to get past the jungle, so we headed back out, making it back to where we previously died, and then we pushed this guy off the cliff Scar style. I killed Mufasa! And then continuing left, we were greeted with another flying amoeba. Alright, it's the amoeba guy again. Oh, and that guy told his friend, who looks like he told his friend. I think it's time, let's leave. Making our tactical retreat, we decided to explore underneath the jungle. Cautiously exploring, we came to a dark corner that we were afraid to just jump down. But fortunately for us, this kind blue slime gave us a helping hand and pushed us in. Nice, another chest. What do we have? Oh, is this a straw? Is that a straw? It is. We can breathe underwater. Well, kinda. This chest also had our first mining potion to help us expedite our exploration. Continuing further down, we were able to make another discovery. Alright, I think with these wooden platforms, we should be able to lay them out, stand on them, and get underneath them. But let's give it a try. Nice, nice, we can. I have a feeling that this is going to be really helpful as we continue exploring. And then just like a moth whenever he sees the lamp, we follow a faint glow that we see, stumbling upon a cavern full of enemies, who very kindly remind us to return back to our lane. Alright, this is probably a bad idea, but let's give it a shot. Okay, well, we needed to craft anyways. We created a kiln, placed our piggy bank that we bought earlier, deposited all of our stuff before heading back down directly below our base. And then starting the day, we managed to find our first deposit of gold ore, and then we headed back to the glowing cave area. Things were going incredibly well as we looted a nearby chest, mined above this group of enemies instead of fighting them, and then we found some tungsten ore before reaching a surface that couldn't be mined. I wonder if this dynamite will work for us. Uh-oh. Oh, no, that's no good. Taking an express trip back to the surface, we built 3 more houses before diving back underground for one of the sweatiest exploration sessions that we've had. While exploring, we got more comfortable using our platforms, but we came across more unminable surface, and so I decided to dig around it looking for a way inside. I was unsuccessful in reaching it, but that's okay because we quickly forgot about it as we got distracted by a pink glowing orb that was nearby. Okay, I wonder if what this is. Let's see if it's anything important. Alright, we got close, but we can't mine it. Moving on, we found a nice cluster of gold ore, but learning from our last trips that ended as deaths, this time we are mining in a staircase pattern to leave a path back. Very carefully traversing the area, we step on a trap and die. Back at the surface, we crafted a new tungsten chest piece and then traveled back towards the right. Ah, okay, so the purple unminable area from before, that was the corruption area. We aimed to make it safely down our previous death hole, and we eventually did make it down and discovered another pink orb. But, okay, let's try this explosive thing again. Okay, bad aim, but it does work. We continue throwing bombs, albeit very poorly, and after failing multiple times, we set out to explore the rest of the cavern instead. Okay, let's go ahead and place these blocks so that we can go to... okay. Okay. Okay, you asked for this, Jim. While working on climbing back up, we were knocked down again, only this time he comes back to finish the job. I took the opportunity to reload on our bombs, platforms, torches before setting back out. Oh, that works perfectly. Oh no, I thought I was swinging my sword and I was throwing bombs. Oh no. The last throw was good, but it still didn't break into allowing us to reach the orb, and without any more explosives, I moved on and headed towards some nearby shiny blocks. We made it to them, but we weren't able to break through. After finding another dead end with an orb, we did something that I don't think we've ever done on this account. And that's climb back out of the ground once we go down. Never mind. Heading out to the desert area this time, everything was going well until we punched this cactus ball and very nearly died. We did manage to mine several ore deposits, collected another heart crystal, and mid-jump a surprise worm came out of nowhere and we die. We upgraded our helmet to gold and then we head straight back to the sand cavern. Making great progress, we found several big gold deposits and also found an ore that we can't mine again. We bypass it and keep going. Ah, hello little guy. Where are you going, little fairy? Oh, okay, he's leading us to a chest. What do we have? Ooh, a spelunking potion that can help us find more ore. We kept traveling downwards, avoiding lava pools when we saw them. We found another mine track that led us to the deep jungle with a lot of enemies, and we may or may not have tried to set them ablaze with 9,000 torches, thinking it was our sword. I don't want to talk about it, but we do manage to escape with exactly 1 health. Well, at least I imagine it was exactly 1 health. All right, we're all healed up. It's time to head back in. Okay, all right, that's fine. I wanted to go home anyways. And back on the surface, we craft an emerald hook and a decent pair of shoes. I mean, seriously, it's been almost 11 full in-game days. I'm not sure why I didn't make any pairs of shoes before. We grabbed a few more bombs and then we headed back to the glowing orbs. Hopefully it helps clear quite a bit of the... Oh no. Okay. Well, that took out a lot of tiles, but it was just the wrong way. We went exploring and reached the dark blue caves, but forgot to make torches, so we were digging in the blind. We managed to stumble into a chest, looted it, and then recalled to the surface. If we're going to be mining so much, we might as well upgrade our pickaxe, and so the best ore that I've found is gold, so naturally we craft a gold pickaxe, and it ends up having a negative speed modifier. So using our remaining gold bars, we make another one, and it's also very bad. Both of these are going straight into storage. And then we set back out, grabbing resources and chests as we go. Oh, ooh, nice, Hermes boots. Those will help us be a little bit faster. Nice, we will absolutely take it. Good chest. Continuing to push our limits, we explored further and we pulled a 127 hours. Great movie if you haven't seen it, but we get smashed by a boulder. And do you guys remember the hook that we crafted several days ago? Well, we just figured out how to use it. Oh, yes. This is nice. I feel like we could be Tarzan just swinging through the terrain. I decided to try out a spelunking potion, and this thing is a thing of beauty. This makes finding ore deposits so much easier. Unfortunately, we did use it relatively close to the surface, so we didn't find any gold, but we collected plenty of copper and lead. Nice. Okay, another health crystal. We just need to fend off these nearby slimes. Okay, there we go. Mission accomplished. Feeling nice and healthy now. Oh, okay, never mind. I really liked using the spelunking potion, so we set out to the jungle area and then used another. We were mining resources as we could, and just before the potion wears off, we find another heart crystal. And then we grab a quick chest before using the heart crystal that we mined earlier. Let's see what's in our next chest. Okay. Oh, feral claws. Increased melee speed sounds really strong. Let's go ahead and throw those on. After exploring further, we stumbled on another type of brick that we couldn't mine. While we were digging around it in search of the entrance, we were greeted by another fairy. Oh, hello again, friend. Do you have more loot for me today? I think we've already been up this way. Yep, this chest is empty. You're a little troll, aren't you? As we're running from a spiked green blob, we dove into 3 wasps and instantly died. Does dying this much happen to everybody their first playthrough, or is it just me? Grabbing more bombs, we headed back to the corruption area. This time we were able to reach the glowing orb, but when we tried to mine it, collect it, we couldn't do anything, so we ended up just moving on. And these orbs will actually be very important later on, but we're going to put a pin in that for now, and we're just going to move on. Okay, don't troll me this time, friend. Can we have a truce? Ooh. A life crystal. Okay, we are absolutely even. Using a fresh spelunking potion, we focused mainly on gold ore, and then we continued downwards as our potion wore off. We eventually stumbled on another heart crystal and another chest that had another eye item that we could use to summon a boss. Having had a very successful exploration session, we found ourselves faced with a little lava pool that was covered. We jumped down to loot a nearby chest and got smashed by a boulder again. Back at the surface, we set out to craft some upgrades. Okay, come on. 3rd time's the charm, right? Yes, increased speed is huge. We upgraded to a gold broadsword as well, and then we set back out, this time aiming to go past the corruption area. We reached a snowy environment where we grabbed a quick chest and continued on, eventually making it to a giant forest area. We spent the better part of the day trying to get to the top of this tree. We then found an old ruin-looking area where the nearby old man gave us a very cryptic message. My master cannot be summoned under the light of day. And ignoring all manners, we decided if his master wouldn't come out, then we were going to go in. We burst through the doors and headed down to the corridor. I guess he does not want company. Regrouping, we headed to explore the snow this time. And while exploring, we got a rather unsettling message. You feel an evil presence watching you. Oof. Kind of creepy. Moving on, we very carefully used our bombs to excavate the corruption. Anyways, we eventually continued downwards, and by pure accident, we destroy our first sphere. Horrible chill goes across your spine. Okay. Whoever was watching us did not like that, I guess. We continue exploring and come across an ice chest that contained an ice boomerang. We recall back home and are immediately greeted with a goblin army. So we got to really test out that new boomerang. My goodness, look at that damage! Yes! We eventually successfully fend off the goblin army. We head back down to explore further, and we come across this chest. Alright, another chest. Let's see if we have anything good in it. Okay. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who will teleport us home if we shall fall? That's you. We're going to carry you for the rest of our journeys. We farmed a few more ore deposits and found another heart crystal, and then this. All right, we have some gold. Let's go ahead and get some light up first. Oh my gosh. Oh man, okay. That was scary. After taking a moment to collect ourselves, we continue exploring and mining ore where we could. Focusing primarily on gold and demonite ore, we quickly loot what we can from a nearby chest and continue making our way to an area deep enough that it has pools of lava. Whoa, we can go underneath all of the environment? Look at that thing. I'm sure he would absolutely just kill us if he could reach us. Is this hell? Did we mine down to hell? I think we definitely need to explore. We grapple to a nearby wall to scout just a little bit further. While building a platform to the nearby tower, we get hit and knocked off into the lava. Oh, ouch, that's a lot of damage. Nope. Let's leave. That's gonna be a note from me. Okay, well, I guess that works. And after the day-and-a-half mining expedition, we crafted several upgrades. We craft all of the ore into bars. Shark bait. The summon. Is the summon a boss? Oh, he's so cute. I think we're gonna call you Frank. And then we make a gold chest and boots to complete a full gold armor set. Frank and I explored further left than I had ever been before, coming across a chest and then continuing on until we reached a beach and a body of water. That might have stopped me before, but with Frank by our side, we can figure any problem out. We craft a sand bridge over the water and we reach the very edge of the map. And with nowhere else to run, we decide to double back a little bit and then dig downwards. And while exploring, we didn't find anything interesting, well, at least until this. All right, I'm not finding any ore up here. Let's go deeper. What is this? I mean, we're gonna go ahead and jump through. What's the worst that could happen? We've already died 1,000 times. After falling down the galaxy hole, we splashed down in some water and had lots of ore around us. We see a golden chest, and just before our spelunking potion wears off, we spot a life crystal. And then not even 20 seconds later, while we're killing an enemy, we stumble on another one. And during this exploration, we find several clusters of demonite ore. And continuing the exploration even further, we make it deep enough for the lava pools again, and we find another life crystal. Feeling confident from our day-and-a-half mining expedition, we drop down into hell again, and we fall in the lava and die. And then with our express trip back home, we turn our ores into bars, but not seeing any good upgrades, we just bank them for now. We traveled back to the icy area close to the lava pools, and then use another spelunking potion. We make it back to the chest that we died at before, but this time we were able to quickly loot it and run. We come across a goblin that is selling some pretty interesting stuff, namely the rocket boots that allow flight and a tinkerer's workshop. We buy the boots and then mine a nearby heart crystal. Oh, what are the chances? There's 2 health crystals together. We just have to make our way over to them, and you know what? We've been mining quite a bit. It's a good workout. We deserve to be pretty healthy by this point. I use one more spelunking potion to try to find more health crystals, and I realize I'm not able to use them anymore. I guess we're at full health. All right, we've made it back, but this time we can fly. All right, rocket boots, it's time to see what you can do. Oh yes, this is great. I'm a rocket man. And now equipped with flight, it's time to explore the underworld. We make our way through the buildings and find several chests, but each of them are locked. We broke several pots, killed enemies, and explored a lot of the underworld, but ultimately we didn't find a lot of valuable things since we couldn't open any of the chests. All right, I believe I can fly. It sounded like he was laughing as he died. As we spawn, we engage in the eye fight again, hoping to at least make his eye pretty sore with poking him with our boomerang over and over. We start out chipping away his health pretty decently. Alright, so we're getting a good grip, a good bearing on the fight. Oh, angry eyeball. That's one angry eye. And then after we got our bearings, we were able to take down the eye's second phase pretty quickly. While organizing our inventory, we found a godly mace that we had picked up along the way. Okay, let's go ahead and try the new weapon out. Okay, it can extend a decent way. Oh, if we just hold it, we can continue to swing it in circles to create a shield of sorts. And in our inventory, I figured out that we had somewhere picked up an umbrella that allows for slow falling. We have now explored all the way to the left. It's time to see what we can reach over to the right. As far as we can go, we find another beach ending in more sand, only this time instead of building out, we build up. As we continued to get higher, we ran into a lot of harpies that gave us some trouble, as just more of an annoyance than anything, but we kept pushing upwards. We eventually got so high up that there was no longer any gravity, and we were able to reach the very top of the map, unlocking an achievement as we went. And then to explore the sky a bit further, I built blocks outwards so that we could run in a straight line. Oh, is that a big cloud? I wonder if we can land on it. We can! After grabbing the loot from a nearby chest, we floated back to the grounds, Mary Poppins style. We finally headed back to the corruption, and you remember how I said the orbs were going to be important later on? We finally take out the second and third, and it spawns the largest worm I've ever seen. Alright, we've destroyed 2. All things happen after sets of 3, so let's go ahead and destroy this one and see what happens. Oh my god, he's huge! Jim is getting absolutely ripped. Taking this fight slowly, I tested out different methods of dealing damage, but eventually we settled on the boomerang so that we could keep our distance. After smacking him a few times, he started splitting apart, creating more worm segments that flew at us. Okay, we're almost there. Yeah, Earthworm Jim, it is time to send you back where you came from. This feud of ours, it needs to end. Once defeated, he dropped some pretty good loot, giving us a weapon upgrade, an armor piece, and some demonite ore. But before heading back to base, we went straight towards the dungeon again. Come back at night. Okay, old man, we'll see about that. I'm not really sure why the results would have been different this time, but the dungeon monster absolutely obliterated us whenever we broke into his house once again. Forcibly returning home, we used our demonite ore to craft a pickaxe upgrade that could now mine hellstone. We crafted a pair of boots and a chest for a set bonus that gave us increased movement speed and acceleration. And then running back towards the giant trees, it dawned on me that I never tried to go under or through them, but instead just over. So near the surface, the trees housed several easy to reach chests that would have been nice, I don't know, 24 days ago, but we'll still take it. Our new pickaxe was capable of mining through the corrupted area now, so we didn't have to rely on bombs any longer. We explored the lava pits and the underworld for a while, and then once night fell, we finally headed out to have a word with the old man's master at the dungeon. Alright, let's hope that he doesn't one-shot us here as well. Let's go ahead and meet your master. Okay, that's a really big flying skeleton. Oh boy. The fight with the big skeleton was on. Not knowing his moves, our main strategy was just running and avoiding him where possible. He had 3 health bars that we slowly drained. And then once his hands were destroyed, the skull started showing off his breakdancing moves, rapidly spinning around. Luckily, he moved slowly enough that we could navigate around him while still dealing decent damage. Okay, that really wasn't bad at all. Let's go try to explore the dungeon, but man, if I get one shot again, we are never coming back here. Jumping in, we came across a mechanic who we freed and then continued on. Navigating the dungeon was rather tricky. We had to dodge spikes, spinning balls with spikes, and collapsing floors. Most of the chests that we passed needed a key to be opened, and by diving into a hallway full of skeletons, we got our first golden key drop. We used the key on a nearby chest, and we got a couple of nice upgrades in a mace and a shadow key, which would let us open all of the chests that we find in the underworld. Alright, let's go ahead and test this mace out. Oh, they can't even get close. We used another key to open another chest, which had a cobalt shield. Now, this shield is going to be very useful later on, and it'd be useful now, but we didn't realize that at the time. We opened a few more golden chests, and things were going surprisingly well. That is, until we started exploring in the dark. Oh well, it was a good run. We decided to resummon Jim just to see how good our new upgrades were. Alright, so how much faster can we deal with Jim now that we have damage upgrades? Oh, okay, that is a lot of damage. Yeah, I think the upgrade is pretty good. With the confidence boost from dominating Jim, it was time to tackle the underworld. We looted a few chests and we found some pretty good loot while we were there. Going on a loot spree, we successfully navigated a lot of the lava-filled environment. We carefully mined some hellstone, and then not so carefully mined some hellstone. With the help of the guide, we realized that we needed a hellforge to smelt the hellstone. All right, Frank, we've had a good run, but I think it's time for me to spend some time with Esteban. And then with Esteban by our side, we made a quick trip to a hellforge. Well, almost. On our return trip, we ran into the goblin again that would, over the course of the game, become one of our best friends. We buy his Tinker's Workshop since it sounded cool, and then we move on. As we get back to the underworld, we find an unconscious man who sells some crystals. We're gonna call him, I don't know, Mr. White. By using a crystal on this stand, you could earn brownie point medals to trade in for rewards. So thinking this sounded like a pretty cool idea, we bought one. And at this point, we've become especially skilled at traversing the game and the environment. Eager to earn brownie points, we set up the machine and fought off waves of enemies. The first few waves were easy to navigate, but by wave 3 it was a little bit more difficult with javelin throwers being introduced. And by wave 4, dive bombing wyverns were added in, and we quickly became overwhelmed and lost, earning us a total of 1 defender medal. I think we'll move on for now. We spent the rest of the day making 3 new houses to accommodate the new friends that we had recently made. A little bit lost about where to go next, we decided to explore the jungle a little bit further. We reached more unminable red brick, and while trying, we spotted a glowing yellow light and decided to dig around the red brick in an attempt to reach it. And after not being able to reach the glowing area, we continued on our way. Tossing glow sticks that we had picked up to see in the water as needed, I spotted a nearby chest, and it explodes. This time we head to the desert and we use a mining potion to explore a little bit more quickly. We eventually connect underground from the desert to the jungle, and we stumble on a big area of the honeycombs. I've never seen this before, so let's dig in and check it out. All right, so we're inside. What is this? Oh, you're an awfully big bee, aren't you? Using our quick wit and intellect, we know that bees die if they use their stingers, so we jumped right next to her to see whose health would run out first. Dodging her charges whenever they happened, we eventually grapple close and finish the job, and then head back to the base. I realized that the 3 houses that we just built were already filled, so I spent the rest of the night and the next morning creating 5 new homes. We're going to call this place Hotel Terraria, and it's open for business. Still having no clue where to go next, I explored the ice area a little bit further. We excavated what I felt like was the entire area before finally coming across a house with a chest. Nothing major from the chest, and things were moving pretty slowly, so I decided to use a spelunking potion to try to help, and eventually made it to 2 more before returning home. Hoping that the guide could, well, I don't know, guide us? We talked to him repeatedly. All right, no. Oh, okay, this one's new. You're ready to challenge the keeper of the underworld. You'll need a living sacrifice. Everything you need for it can be found in the underworld. I feel like we were there forever, but it does say that everything we need is there, so I guess that's where we're gonna go. Making our way back to the underworld, I kept the crafting menu open and searched for a hellforge. And then we crafted a few hellstone bars before leaving it. It honestly pains me to watch because we didn't even think to pick it up at this point. We'll need one for several crafting endeavors later on, and we just didn't even think about relocating it. I spent the next 2 full days searching through each building and chest trying to find a way to create or craft a living sacrifice, but had absolutely no luck. We did, however, stumble on a chest with 2 obsidian potions that would offer lava immunity for a short while. I used one so that we could mine as much hellstone as possible, and that's where it finally happened. We hit the rock bottom of our journey. I wonder if there's a bottom section to the world. Let's head that way and see. Okay, so we've hit rock bottom, everyone. Now it's time to turn this journey around. And then as we continue mining, notice this NPC to the right. Yep, right there. This is the first spawn for him that we've seen after being in hell for a total of almost 3 full days, and he'll be very important, so remember his face. We weren't able to smelt any bars out of the hellstone, and so we returned home, and it turns out that you need a second ingredient to turn them into the bars. And that was obsidian, which we are sorely lacking of. The guide mentioned that obsidian must be obtained at locations where lava and water mix. And so flying around the ceiling of the underworld like a lava-loving Tarzan, we spent the entire day fighting any enemies that we see, and while also looking for a lava pool that's near water so that we could mine some obsidian. Trying everything that I could think of to find a way forward, at one point I even tried using bombs to clear out the lava pool for more resources, but nothing was working. Having spent over 2 consecutive days in the underworld, it finally happened. I don't know what to do. Oh, okay. Okay, I think this has to be the living sacrifice that the guide mentioned. But it took forever to find one. And then almost immediately we got a second one before we died. The guide had mentioned that the living sacrifice was if we were ready for a challenge, and knowing the underworld area and how difficult it is to traverse, I created a block bridge and a wall to fight whatever came our way from the sacrifice. And while preparing this, we got a third voodoo doll. How can I throw this in? Can't use it. I remember there was a throw button. Let's see if this will work. What is that? Okay. I think the wall might have been a bad idea. During our first attempt, range was a major issue. The wall continually moved towards us, and getting close enough to strike was a challenge. We eventually got stuck against a building, and we provided the wall his second living sacrifice, us. To prepare for the next attempt, I wanted to try range for the first time during our entire journey. I pulled out a firebow that we had looted earlier from one of the chests in the underworld. We equipped some arrows and this cute little flower that could throw some fireballs. I grabbed the remaining obsidian potion and a spicy pepper for a stat boost, and then we headed back down for round number 2. While heading back down, I noticed a message in the bottom corner. Okay, slime has started raining from the sky. I know that typically means some kind of event or boss, so let's double back and I guess we check it out. And it turns out that slime was quite literally falling from the sky. After exterminating as much goo from the world as we possibly could, the king of slime spawned. He was a giant blue ball of slime. And as we attacked him, he got smaller and smaller, and eventually we saw an opportunity to dive him, knowing that we could outdamage him before he could kill us. The loot that he dropped didn't seem all that impressive, but we did get this slimifier that I still have no idea how to use. Now that the fun boss was out of the way, it was time to take on the wall again. We ate our pepper and sipped on the lava immunity potion, and then spawned the boss. Alright, this time I'm gonna be ready. Let's test out the dynamite, see how it goes. Oh yeah. That's a decent chunk of damage. After using our dynamite, it was time to try out the wand, which didn't seem to have enough reliable reach, so I switched to the bow, and this thing was amazing. My aim was absolutely wild, but the weapon itself was great. Being immune to the lava, I was able to stay pretty close to the boss and continue to pummel him with arrows. There were a few close calls as I fell into the lava, but overall it was a much easier fight, not having to worry about burning to death. And we were able to eventually kill him and then quickly grab the loot, and while still being immune to lava, I decided to look for any place that might have obsidian. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find any, so we took the time to look at the drops that we got from the boss. One of the drops that we picked up was this pwn hammer. Alright, the pwn hammer, strong enough to destroy demon altars. Okay, that sounds important, so we're going to keep it in our inventory for now. With a very healthy amount of life left, we decided to resurface and regroup after defeating the Wall of Flesh. I was a bit unsure of what to do now, so we headed off towards the jungle to try out our new weapon. We were greeted with new monsters everywhere in the world that were substantially harder than the ones that we had before. We explored the jungle a little bit, killing monsters as we went. The new monsters dropped some new items, but nothing immediately interesting. And in a very true to this run fashion, we died. Let's see if we can craft using the new material. Oh, wow. All of those look great. Needing souls of light, I headed to the corruption area, thinking that since it's dark there, that might be where they were dropped. When we got there, I noticed a weird spike that couldn't be mined with a pickaxe. Okay, so we can't mine under this thing. I wonder if the hammer will work. Palladium has been added into the world, and that sounds like it's going to be an upgrade. Another few altars were already in sight, so we destroyed 2 more, bringing mithril and adamantite into the game. I came across some bright red ore and we tried to mine it, but we weren't able to with our current pickaxe. We came across some new, fairly tough enemies. We destroyed another altar, adding more palladium to the game. One of the items that we picked up on our jungle trip was to summon the Queen Slime. So we decided to do that, and well, it wasn't really even a battle, more of a beating for us. Looking to upgrade our pickaxe so that we could mine the new ores, the best thing that we had access to was a molten pick. But we needed more bars to make it, and to make more bars, we needed more obsidian. So we headed out to find some. On our way, we found and broke another altar, granting more mithril, and just before getting back to the lava area, we died while trying to talk to a skeleton. We headed back out right away and found a golfer who somehow ended up in the desert, and then trying to reach the lava once again, well, we died. Again. If playing Nintendo games taught me anything, it is that the third time is the charm. We finally reached the underworld, and now it was time to find some obsidian. Looking just above the underworld entrance, we died again. So taking a new approach this time, we headed to an area that would have a lot of water near the surface, and then trying to dig down to connect it to some lava. And it was really easy traversing the jungle. Along our way, we tried to murder this nice wizard, and then eventually made it to an area with a water pool and a lava pool that were close together. Oh yes, I bet we can force these two together. So let's go ahead and place a few blocks leading from the water to the lava. Then we're gonna mine a path for the water to travel. Oh yes, this is huge. We mined a bit of obsidian, but a rude wasp knocked us into the lava and we died. And then heading back, it happened again. This third time, I set out just to mine whatever I could as quickly as I could, and then after realizing that all of the water was dried up, we asked our mirror who was the fairest of them all, and we teleported home. And finally, we were able to craft a molten pickaxe. And with that, it's time for a mining montage. We crafted 2 pieces of mithril armor and headed out to break a few more altars, trying to add some additional adamantite spawns. And this is where we eventually run across the friendly skeleton that we died trying to talk to earlier. Alright friend, do you sell anything good that we might want to use? Oh, yo-yo gloves. What if yo-yos are actually like really good? I want to at least try it out. Now, excited to channel our inner child and create some Jacob's ladder with our yo-yo, we returned to the surface. Oh no, it looks like the yo-yo glove takes the slot of our rocket boots, and I've gotten so used to flight, I don't know if we can honestly live without them. And this actually turns out to not be true, but unfortunately it was an intricacy of the game that I overlooked for several more days. We finished crafting a myth armor set and headed to test the yo-yo. On our way, we found 3 more altars, granting more adamantite into the world. We mined for the rest of the day, but didn't find anything great, so we decided to dive deep towards the underworld, searching for adamantite. While exploring, we were using our yo-yo to reach the enemies that couldn't reach us yet, and all was going well until... Using the adamantite that we had gathered, we created an adamantite forge that will allow us to smelt the adamantite bars to continue getting upgrades. After mining for nearly the entire day without finding a single adamantite ore, I decided to try our luck against the destroyer by using the summon item that we picked up off of a random enemy. We ate some pasta to make sure that we had a full belly going into the fight, which granted a stat boost, and then we summoned the worm. Alright, I'm not really sure exactly what to expect, but we're gonna go ahead and try it out. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of health. I no longer have a good feeling about this. Earthworm Gem got a big upgrade. Without much space to move, not only did we lose our life, but we took out the entire village with us. And while contemplating this death, it dawned on me that we might be able to just manually equip the accessories in any of the 5 slots versus just right-clicking them. Yeah, it took 40 in-game days to figure that one out. We spent the majority of the next day searching for more adamantite ore, but were unsuccessful. So I set my eyes on upgrading our current weapon by crafting a Dao Pow. We already had plenty of Souls of Light and 2 Dark Shards, but we would still need to figure out where and how to get a Light Shard and some additional Souls of Night. Looking for the Light Shard, my first thought was to try the desert because it's light, there's a lot of sun, but after exploring, we didn't find any of the items that we needed. So my next thought was to maybe search around the beach since it's typically light and sunny there as well. We made it almost down to the underworld without really finding any enemies or items, so I decided to give up that idea and try something else. I headed back to the corruption area where we had been able to get a few of the Souls of Night before. We managed to pick up a few more from the enemies in this area and intentionally stopping after we got to 10 because we wanted to, well, kind of. Now, only missing the Light Shard, my next guess was maybe that in the area where we collected the Souls of Light, we could find a monster that dropped the Light Shards. And then after about half a day of farming, it finally happened. Yes, that's what we need. Oh, no. Oh, I hope it doesn't despawn. Hurrying back to try to pick it up quickly, we died again to the exact same worm. And then finally, on the 3rd attempt, I successfully picked up the shard, and then we headed to craft the Dao Pow. Yes, I can finally say it. I never really cared for you, Yo-Yo. Cheesing enemies was nice, but honestly, that's about it. Armed with this new weapon, I prepared for another battle attempt with one of the new bosses. This time I created a platform so that we could jump up and down and maneuver a little bit more easily around the boss. And the next boss that we attempted was the twins, and while the platform worked well for the most part, we still struggled to significantly damage the boss before dying. And just like in retail where stress rolls down, the district manager gets pressure and stress from above and then takes that out on the store manager. The store manager does this on the co-manager, and then so on and so forth. So I summoned the normal boss and we just obliterated him. We collected a few more Souls of Night so that we could craft a few more attempts at finding Armored Jim, and in true fashion, after getting 6 souls, we jumped on an explosive, totally on purpose, to quickly recall back to the surface. I crafted another mechanical worm to bring out Armored Jim, and we used it right away. Alright, so we're doing decently. This might actually be doable. Wait, where'd you go, Jim? And acting just like a vampire, as the night faded, so did Jim. We set out to farm more Souls of the Night because Jim ran away scared, and after collecting 12 this time, we actually chose to leave the area. I crafted another mechanical worm, and the battle arena did feel good, but I think that we need a bit more space, so I grabbed some more wood, crafted more platforms, and extended the reach and height of the arena. And then after expanding, we summoned the boss again, and all was going well. That is until the boss started to shoot a lot of lasers and popped out a lot of little death robots that follow you around, making dodging pretty difficult. I immediately crafted another worm and an eye, and then we saved them for later. But for now, we headed back to the snow area to explore and see if there were any decent upgrades. We found an ice bow, but nothing else was really noteworthy. Making it all the way through the snow area without any major finds, we pushed along the bottom near the underworld and stumbled on a big adamantite cluster. I explored a little bit further before jumping onto a detonator. I mean, really, does this happen to everybody their first playthrough? Or is it just me? Convinced that there was something valuable in the snow area, we head back there and find absolutely nothing except for a mechanical skull from an enemy drop. We continue digging through every inch of the snow area. I'm not sure why at this point. I've spent what feels like forever here, but I had something in my head that was telling me that we needed to dig through the snow. Using a spelunking potion, we finally find some adamantite ore and die. While on the surface, we craft a quick adamantite chest before diving straight down towards the underworld, where we use another spelunking potion with the intention of finding as much adamantite as possible. We find the friendly skeleton that was selling the yo-yos, and we buy a counterweight for when we are using our yo-yo. And now we finally find and mine plenty of adamantite, and when we return to the base, something called a blood moon had risen, and there were some really tough enemies to fight. Is that a clown? And he's throwing bombs. That's terrifying. I resorted to cheesing the enemy behind a closed door, popping out just long enough to throw my yo-yo and then coming back inside so that they couldn't reach us, and eventually they just stopped spawning. Starting the next day, we headed back below the snow area and accidentally ran into a lot of obsidian. We mined it just in case we would ever need it. I then used another spelunking potion to target and find adamantite more easily. Finally resurfacing, I craft the remaining 2 pieces of adamantite armor, granting 20% increased melee and movement speed. Equipped with new armor, I get ready to challenge Armored Jim again. Around this time, we get a notification about feeling vibrations from below, but not knowing what that meant, we manually use the mechanical worm to spawn Armored Jim. Oh no, this is not going well. It was closer last time, and even that's not saying much. I think it's time we find a different approach. Spending a good part of the morning, I farmed more Souls of the Night because we were absolutely burning through the summoning items. And when nightfall hit, we used all of the combat potions that we could find, as well as stat boosting food, and it was just a little bit too early in the day to summon the worm, so looking for something to do, we reforged our yo-yo, our Dao Pao, and we built the battle arena a little bit higher. By the time we could actually summon the boss, sadly most of the potion boosts that we had used had worn off already. We did do a little bit better this time, but we still barely made a dent in his overall health, and so I decided that maybe the Wall of Flesh strategy would work here. Ranged. I found all of the range gear that I could find in our storage, and we checked to see if using souls offered any range weapon upgrades, but unfortunately it didn't. While sifting through our very well-organized storage, I remembered that we had never checked what could be crafted from the meteorite bars that we got from a chest in the underworld. The star cannon sounds good, but we don't have a mini shark, so we won't be able to make anything for now. We then checked with all of the vendors in town, and surprisingly, we found the mini shark that we needed. When we attempted to forge the star cannon, I realized that we didn't have enough fallen stars saved, and so while waiting for nightfall, I crafted an adamantite range helmet, which granted a nice set bonus, potentially not consume ammo when fired. It still wasn't nighttime at this point, so I farmed a few more Souls of Night. And preparing further, we crafted more platforms and we saw the green message again. Ignoring it because it had never amounted to anything for me before, I went to place some of the platforms. Wait, what? I didn't use an item, did I? Okay, let's give this a try, I guess. And it seemed like the height of the arena was giving the destroyer some trouble actually reaching us. But before we could test it out much further, we accidentally ran off the edge, and we very nearly died before Jim came and finished us off. There was one good thing that came from this encounter though, and that was that the high platforms were amazing, but we needed to extend it. I created another layer even higher, and we weren't quite finished, but the fallen stars were here, so we headed out to collect some. We spent the rest of the night collecting as many fallen stars as we could. The next morning, we crafted the star cannon, and while setting up our inventory, we discovered that we had another pet. Eduardo. We've had so many good memories, such good exploration sessions, but I think it's time for you to rest. It's going to be Herbert's turn for now. Just look at him. Isn't he so cute? We then reforged our feral claws and headed back to the battle arena, where we built a block wall straight up to space so that we could grapple and move quickly away from bosses if needed, and then we extended our platforms a bit before heading to farm more monsters in the Soul of Light area. When nightfall came, we were more than ready to test out our new cannon, so we set up our inventory and potions and then summoned the boss. And we were quickly bombarded by lasers, but the stars seemed to be doing a really good job at draining the boss's health. That is, until we ran out of the only ammo that the star cannon can shoot, fallen stars. I tried to pivot to melee, but it just wasn't doing anywhere near the damage that we were able to do with ranged. I think we will actually have a shot against this boss now, but we needed to collect a lot of stars. Running across the map, collecting stars, I reached the flat portion of blocks that we previously put over the water and realized that it would be much faster if we had a straight shot path to farm the stars. I spent the next morning checking items that I had never used with the guide to see if we could craft anything, and we found that these spider fangs could be used to craft a queen spider staff. It sounded like the best item we could get from the fangs, so we went ahead and crafted it. I found that we had a bast statue that helps increase your stats when you're near it, so I grabbed that and our campfire and we moved them higher on the platforms. And then as night falls, I gear up with my potions and equipment and prepare for a fight. And all is going well, that is until we run out of stars. Again, I can't believe I didn't learn from the last battle. We didn't even have a backup strategy. So to make star collecting even easier, I extended the top platform sideways with blocks as far as I could go to the left. And being this high up, we ran into several wyverns and noticed that their drops could be used to craft wings. We needed more feathers and souls of flight, so I headed to farm the missing materials. Okay, let's go ahead and create some wings. I'm not sure if they're going to be better than the boots, but I think it's worth a shot. We have the extra materials. Okay, yeah, these are definitely better. My acceleration is so much faster. And then putting on my Bob the Builder hat, I crafted through the rest of the day to reach all the way across the map to the left from the sky. And just in case we ran out of stars during the next fight, I wanted to craft a backup bow, so we set out to get enough adamantite so that we could do that. And along the way, we gathered a few souls of light as well. I crafted and then we reforged an adamantite repeater, and while waiting for nightfall, I expanded the sky bridge a little bit to the right as well, and then we set out on running back and forth to collect as many stars as possible. We were now armed with 90 fallen stars, and I was ready to attempt the boss once again, but we needed to wait until nightfall. I decided to kill the Wall of Flesh again in hopes of a ranger emblem, similar to the summoner version that we had pulled the first time we beat him. We flaunted our new mace and showed the Wall of Flesh some of our really cool yo-yo tricks before he absolutely erupted with jealousy. Unfortunately, the drop was a sorcerer's emblem, and we can't respawn the monster again until the guide revives. So we reforged a few weapons and accessories before taking another stab at summoning one of the bosses. This time I saved our stars for when the worm was bunched up, and we absolutely peppered him with our Hellfire arrows. Okay, this is going really well. Oh no, not again. You can run, but you can't hide, Jim. We're gonna get you next time. And then demolishing the wall one more time, we got it. And then that night we attempted the worm again, but this time without any fallen stars. The arrows were great, and the height of our last platform allowed us to really buy times to kill the drones and collect hearts that they drop while waiting for our potion cooldown to expire. And while we did get quite a bit further, we ultimately got a little bit too low and we died. But it's all about steps in the right direction, and so we spend the rest of the night collecting more stars. We decided to take a look at the herbs that we've been gathering since the beginning of the game. I started looking into replenishing the potions that we had been chugging like a frat boy at a kegger, And we find that Day Bloom potions are relatively easy to make, and they can give us some really useful effects. A ranging boost, Iron Skin for defense, and then health regeneration. I decided to try my luck against the two-eyed monster once again, since we had been mainly focusing on beating Jim up to this point. And things were actually going pretty well with us having plenty of space to run and kite the boss around, but my damage was just too low without potions or upgrades. I set up a potion crafting station and created Iron Skin, Archery, and Regeneration potions with materials that we already had. From this point forward, we're going to be using these anytime we engage in a boss fight, so if I don't mention it, they're there. With our potions and food ready, we were prepared to take down Jim. This time we focused on using our stars only when the worm was clumped up and arrows when he wasn't, and we were off to a really great start. We were getting hit, but we were taking much less damage thanks to the food and the potions. Slowly but surely, we chipped away at his health, and this time after 237,564 failed attempts, yes, he's low, he's going down, we've got this, yes! He can be defeated. One of the items that we picked up from Jim were hollowed bars, but the only thing that we were close to being able to craft with them was the light disc. But we didn't quite have enough material for it, so I just waited for nightfall and then we took on the two-eyed monster. This time with our potions and upgraded accessories, the fight was much easier to navigate. I think potions and food were the biggest difference here because I think we're going to be able to beat him right here and now. Kiting the monster and dodging where I could, we eventually beat our second boss only one day after taking down the first one. With the extra hollowed bars from the second boss, we were able to craft the light disc. I think I'm going to like this. I waited until nightfall once again. We reforged our new weapon. Unfortunately, it's not a great forge, but I couldn't afford to upgrade it again. We then summoned the last of the bosses that we could summon, Slim Skelly. I'm not really sure what to expect on this one, but hopefully the damage from the light disc can carry us through it. Oh, okay, this is like the skeleton from the dungeon. This was a very long and drawn out battle, but even though we were taking damage, it seemed to be pretty minimal. After just over 8 minutes, we were finally able to take him down. 3 bosses in 3 nights after being stuck for progression for quite a while is amazing. It feels amazing to finally be making steps in the right direction. We immediately headed off to the jungle as the guide had hinted at something being over there, and while navigating the area, I tried to mine a pretty pink bulb and a boss spawned. Entirely unprepared for this fight, I kited the boss around as well as I could, but eventually we were cornered. Oh no, this might be it unless I can get out? No, the damage is too much. At least we managed to get it to half health before we died. We headed straight back to the jungle and dug out a bit of the area so that we could fly around the next time that we were facing the boss. While digging out the area, we found a life fruit, which gave us a yellow health bar, increasing our life beyond the previous limit. After mining out the area, I next built 3 layers of platform to move between, and spent the rest of the night searching for another pink bulb. The entirety of day 60 was spent searching the jungle, but I didn't have any luck finding another pink bulb. And really all that we accomplished today was finding one more life fruit. On the next day is when it happened. We found another one of the pink bulbs. I potted up and then popped the bulb. All right, so let's lure him back to the arena. All right, this way, and I think this way. Oh no, no, Drill, hurry up. Hurry. We ended up taking another wrong turn, which cost us almost all of our HP, but eventually we were able to escape and we made it to the arena. But we were going into this fight a leg down. It was all going decently well, that is until the boss reached half health and he got much faster. We ended up getting stuck again, and by not being able to move, we died. I crafted a quick adamantite drill and then headed back to search the jungle, and we stumbled across a new type of ore, chlorophyll. And then right after we found another pink bulb. This one was much closer to our arena. We're going to save it for right now, but it's good to know where it's at. So chlorophyll could be a big upgrade, so I want to look for as much of it as possible. Oh nice, a titan glove. This looks pretty good for melee. After that I used a spelunking potion to help find the chlorophylled ore deposits, and eventually taking a few of the bars back to the guide, we look to see what we can craft with the new material. Okay, so this is a lot of armor upgrades. It looks like we can either go for regular or turtle armor if we get turtle shells for higher defense. Okay, I think that's what we want to do considering just how much we die. Heading back to the jungle, I create an easy path from the arena to the bulb that we found, and we mine some more chlorophyll along the way. While mining some of the ore, we fall into the entrance to the red dungeon that we had excavated almost entirely around the outside. And inside is a locked door that we need a key to open. We'll circle back to this later, but it's good to know where it's at. For now, we ready ourselves for a fight, we pop the pink bulb, and then we make a beeline for the arena. Just before the fight starts, we happen to pick up our first turtle shell for the armor that we saw a little bit earlier. And the arena worked beautifully, allowing us to circle around the boss and take somewhat minimal damage. When the boss turned into phase 2, we were completely ready this time, but eventually we did fall off of our path. We were still kiting decently enough. That is, until we got stuck and we were unable to move, dig, jump, or anything other than die. Oh no, that spot is gonna haunt me forever. We were doing so good. We set out to explore for another pink bulb, and along the way, we found another life fruit. Collecting chlorophyll along the way, we end up in the very deep jungle area, and we do eventually find another bulb. I dig a straight path back to the arena and make sure that we can get there quickly, and while doing that, we found our second turtle shell. I spawn the boss and then we head to the arena. The battle starts out well again, and it also starts going south during the second phase, again. We end up abandoning our arena at a certain point, and we make our way back to the last death site. There were a couple of really close calls, where I got caught and couldn't really move because of the damage, but luckily we were able to break free, and we were able to finish him off. Part of the loot that the boss dropped was a jungle key, and since the next achievement mentioned breaching the walls of the jungle temple, we headed straight there. Similar to the dungeon, this one was full of traps and high damaging enemies. Carefully making our way through while pausing when we needed our HP topped off, but eventually we did succumb to the darkness and we died. While back at home, we made 2 out of the 3 turtle armor pieces, missing 1 more turtle shell and a little bit more chlorophyll to complete the set. Using a spelunking potion, we got to work collecting for all of like 30 seconds before we died. All right, so let's just pretend that that never happened. This time we managed to use the entire potion timer and collected plenty of chlorophyll and the last needed turtle shell. Okay, let's make this last piece. That gives us 76 armor. That's pretty nice. And a set bonus of take 15% less damage. We are going to be a tank. With the new armor equipped, I headed out to explore the jungle temple again and see how far we could make it. We slowly made our way through the dungeon, eventually coming to a big room with an altar in it. I cleared out the enemies from the room, and then we used one of the power cells that was dropped onto the altar, and the next boss spawned. All right, let's try the cell on the altar now. Oh no, no, not again. I really should expect it at this point. We started the fight out pretty sloppy, but recovered fairly well. His attacks were pretty easy to track as he fires his fists and stomps in your direction. Enemies did make their way into the arena mid-fight, which did hurt, but it didn't kill us entirely. We continued chipping away at his health and eventually made it to his second phase. During the second phase, he started shooting lasers from his eyes and we just couldn't keep up. So we did the manly thing and we tried to run away, but this made the lasers start shooting incredibly quickly, and a spear trap finished the job off and we died. We headed straight back to the dungeon, and I tried to set up a campfire near the altar, but I wasn't able to find a space to do so. So with that, let's cue the arena building montage. What a nice spot for a fire. Intentionally summoning the boss this time. The first phase was pretty easy. The second was a little bit more difficult, but we were able to stay nearly full health throughout the entire phase. And to my surprise, there was a third phase. His head detaches from his body and becomes untargetable, while his body tries to stomp you into submission. All right, we did it. Second attempt, I guess. We picked up the loot, none of which seemed like an immediate upgrade. We replaced our cute little bee hat with a golem mask, and taking the beetle husk that was dropped to the guide, we realized that we can use it to upgrade the turtle armor that we just made into an even stronger beetle armor. All right, so that seems like it's going to be quite a bit better, but we don't have enough for a full set, so I think we're just going to save it for now and then go farm the golem to get more materials. We take on the golem again, and we were able to beat him a second time. Okay, so we still need a few more kills. I know that I've taken damage from the spikes in the past. Let's go ahead and put a barrier around them before we take on the golem again. This time we weren't quite successful, but we headed right back in, and we got him this time. And the next time. After our fourth kill, he dropped a heavy pickaxe. So curious, I tried to mine the temple bricks with it, and we could. All right, so cheese attempt number 1, we're going to try to block the golem in, and hopefully when he spawns, he will be stuck up in the bricks, and we can just shoot him through these 2 holes. Let's just say that the idea did not work out, and let's move on. We continued farming the boss until we had enough beetle husks to make a full set, which gave the set bonus, Beetles Protect You from Damage. The next achievement says to get a rare item from the dungeon, so that's where we headed to next. Only when we reached the dungeon, there were some cultists outside, and then we killed them so that we could enter the dungeon. Oh, no, they can't keep getting away with this. We did learn some of the boss's attack patterns, but ultimately we got absolutely dismantled. I dive into the dungeon past the cultists looking to complete the next achievement of finding a rare item in the dungeon. We were able to kill a lot of enemies, but ultimately we didn't get much of value from the trip. I then spent the rest of the night and almost the entire next day digging through the jungle looking for life fruit. Using a spelunking potion to see the area more easily, we were able to find 6 more life fruit for a nice HP boost. We then headed back to the dungeon and built an arena outside so that we could more easily fight the lunatic. Intentionally spawning the boss this time, we did better, but our damage just wasn't quite enough, and there was one major thing we were missing about his attacks, and that was the attack where he summons clones of himself. Learning this one move, in my opinion, is the key to winning the entire fight. Towards the end of our attempt, I realized that when we attack the clone instead of attacking the real lunatic, he spawns a wyvern and then the fight becomes much more difficult to manage. We do ultimately die, but we made it much further this time than we did the last time. Knowing that we would need all of the stat boost that we could get, we picked up our campfire and bass statue and moved them to our arena. I crafted a new pair of wings since we had the material, thinking that it might be an upgrade similar to when we upgraded from the boots. We reforged the wings and they definitely felt like a major improvement over the last pair. And do you remember this little table that we bought ages ago? Well, this table can combine accessories, allowing you to create and have major upgrades to your accessories while not requiring additional slots to wear them. I grabbed all of the accessories that I could find. We were able to combine a few, and then I headed to the guide to see if we could upgrade any of the accessories that we were currently using. Okay, so let's see if we can upgrade any of the accessories we were using. Titan Glove and the Feral Claws, we were actually using both. That's going to free up another slot, and it gets a little bit better, I think. We combined the items into a Power Glove, and then checked for additional upgrades, finding that we could upgrade it further with an Avenger emblem. I crafted one of those with resources that I already had, and then we craft the Mechanical Glove. With the help of the guide, we upgrade it once more with a Magma Stone into Fire Gauntlets. This is a huge upgrade, and that's not even the end of it. We were able to upgrade our Hermes boots with the rocket boots that we banked earlier. This left room for 2 additional accessories, so we went ahead and threw on a Band of Regeneration and some shades just to fill the slots. I then decided to craft the alternate version of the Beetle Chest armor, which, while being lower defense, it did give more % damage output than the pure defense version that we were currently wearing. We make another loop around the jungle, and I only find 1 more life fruit. We then head to fight the lunatics again, but we noticed a spaceship and an ice golem. Hitting the probe without killing it and then focusing on the golem, we summoned a Martian invasion. We start taking them out one by one, similar to when we faced the Goblin army about 30 years ago. This one also had enemies that we were trying our best to fend off. Eventually I take a little bit too much damage and I die, but that doesn't stop the battle from happening. And we're only a small percentage through this invasion. Yeah, this is going to be a long night. We continue fighting the little guys, guzzling potions as we go, and eventually what I assume to be their leader spawns. He has 3 moves, and we do eventually kill him, but the invasion continues. All is going well, at least until he spawns again. This time we weren't so lucky, and we did die to him. The invasion is only half over, and he spawns several more times over the course of the battle, some victories and some more deaths as well. Eventually we do fend off the world from the Martian attack, and out of all of the loot that we got, the best thing that we pulled was the Xenostaff. This allows us to summon a small UFO to fight for us. We head back to the cultists, placing torches, our fire, statue, and then we get ready to fight the lunatic. We start out doing okay, but eventually we do get overwhelmed by the clones and the wyverns. And so needing to wait a little while for the lunatic to spawn again, I'm sure you can imagine what time it is. It's life fruit time. We make our way through the jungle, this time getting 5 before using them. We then head back to the cultist, and this time the real lunatic hides behind one of the clouds, and we accidentally hit one of the clones with our ricochet. And this happens very early on in the fight, so instead of struggling to overpower them, we just decided to teleport home and decided to wait and then just try again later. With the extra time on our hands, we head back to the jungle. Using a spelunking potion to help find the life fruit, we do manage to find the last 4 that we need to completely max out our health bar. And while heading back to the lunatics, we noticed a bright orange moon in the sky, and we were faced with some very difficult enemies. All right, look at their health. There is absolutely no way I'm summoning the boss with these difficult enemies around. Our spaceship from the Xenostaff was doing amazing work at chasing down enemies while we cowered in fear in safety. In the middle of fighting for our lives, a Martian probe comes our way, but this time we very quickly destroy it. No thank you, not again. Eventually, we do survive the night and we check out our loot. We were able to get some pretty decent things from the monsters. Ooh, it's gonna be a bloody apron and a pig mask. Yeah, we are definitely going to be wearing this. The golem mask was nice, but this pig mask is just, it demands respect. In addition to the vanity items, we also got a hero sword and an interesting accessory in the guarding moonstone. Taking the items to the guide, I noticed that we can upgrade the moonstone to a celestial stone that offers decent melee advantages. After crafting the stone, I dig through the rest of our chests, looking for any accessories I may have missed, and we find the shield that we picked up ages ago. This shield prevents knockback, making it easier to navigate enemies even if you do end up taking damage. We're able to upgrade the shield using an obsidian skull, which I remembered seeing previously while crafting with obsidian. We take the obsidian skull and we upgrade the shield, and then we equipped both that and the celestial stone that we crafted. We also found a bewitching table that we had in our storage that allows us to summon 2 minions instead of just 1, so now 2 UFOs are going to join the fight. While getting ready to start the lunatic, this time we have a burger which gives a major stat boost compared to the medium boost foods that we have been using. Hopefully that, alongside our other upgrades, will allow us to actually get close to killing this guy. And with our super strength, we knock out the unsuspecting lunatic in 1 hit to engage the boss fight. Things were going very, very well. We're doing much more damage than before. And even when we do get hit, we're taking less damage overall. And eventually he starts using a new move, but with plenty of room to move around, it really wasn't too bad. He eventually creates his clones a little bit too high again, and he hides in the clouds, summoning a deadly wyvern as a result. In an absolutely teeth-clenching moment, we take out the wyvern and we're able to focus back onto the main fight. We then quickly realize that we had taken too long to find him versus his clones, and another wyvern spawns. Realizing that we could focus fire and take out the wyverns, we take it out without taking too much damage. Staying calm and collected throughout this fight, we continue to slowly chip away at the boss's health, and even with several close calls, we were able to stay in the fight. Okay, we have plenty of health left. Let's go. We could do this. Down goes the lunatic, and straight into the next Terraria World War. It looks like there are monsters all over behind us. Orange monsters had spawned all around us. There were many ground monsters and a floating worm that seemed to only really charge at us when we were in the air. So I stayed glued to the ground and worked on killing the monsters, eventually getting the counter to 0. A new HP bar popped up that wasn't going down as we killed the monsters. So we headed towards the object on the minimap and found a big floating crystal or pillar, and when it died, solar fragments dropped in the air. I collected them and then we headed back home to see what we were able to craft. We had enough materials to choose between one of 2 melee weapons, a solar eruption or a daybreak. We eventually settled on the daybreak because the solar eruption looked like a whip and haven't had the best luck with whips on this game. All right, let's test this guy out. Okay, it looks like they explode on impact. That'll probably be good for single monster fights, but I'm wondering if the explosion will hurt nearby enemies as well. There were several other pillar-like objects that spawned, so we headed out to each of them. The purple had projectile-style monsters, but I didn't notice anything special here besides running and trying to avoid them where possible. We died, but luckily it looks like our progress towards the kill count does save, so onward we pressed, fighting and dying until we were able to finally damage the pillar. This one dropped a different type of fragment, Nebula. We then headed to the next one, a blue pillar. We didn't make it very far in this one before dying, and I noticed that these monsters move a bit faster and have harder to hit hitboxes with our new javelin, but we did continue to press ahead. Dying, jumping back in, dying, jumping back in. This one was by far the hardest of the 3 that we've done so far. Hopefully the next one is not quite so difficult. Eventually we were finally able to take it down, collecting the stardust fragment that it dropped. The king slime was silly enough to spawn again, and he very quickly got deleted. We then headed to the last pillar. This one seemed to have a lot of enemies that were relatively quick, but overall it didn't seem that bad. We died only a handful of times on this one before finally destroying the pillar. All right, so down with the last pillar. Let's see what happens. Impending doom approaches. I'm not sure what to expect really. It's probably a boss fight. We're just going to clear the monsters in the area and then we'll see what happens. A giant moonlord spawns and just absolutely puts us to shame. We didn't even stand a chance. That was the worst fight ever. Oh no. Running back to where we had died, we realized that the cultists were back. We summoned the lunatic once again, only this time it was quite a bit easier. Even when a wyvern was spawned, we were able to deal with it pretty quickly, and eventually we won, spawning the pillars once again. We killed the orange pillar first, and then we crafted the second weapon, the eruption, to test it out. It definitely made these swarms of enemies much easier, since we didn't have to focus on aim as much, and we could just focus on our movement. We took out the next crystal and then moved our fire and statue back to the middle for the Moonlord fight. We took down the purple pillar without dying a single time this time, and then finally all that was left was the blue pillar. We took it out and then headed to our arena, prepared for a fight. I struggled reaching the boss with the whip, and the fight honestly didn't last very long before we were blasted by his beam. We moved the statue back to the cultists again to complete the cycle once more. Oh yeah, and those pesky clouds, we mined those. We absolutely demolished the lunatic this time, spawning the pillars once again. We take out the purple, blue, and orange pillars, dying only once through the entire fight this time. And then we prepare for the Moonlord fight by moving our statues back, and we reforge some of our equipment before destroying the last pillar to spawn the Moonlord. This time we plan on trying to outrun the Moonlord on the long sky bridge that we created earlier. We were able to get a little more damage onto him this way, but ultimately it felt a little bit clunkier because we weren't able to outrun him, and it made it hard to avoid some of his attacks. Alright, I don't know what else to upgrade or change. I guess let's look at what can be crafted from the other pillar fragments. We came across a few summoner staffs, ultimately deciding on the dragon. Goodbye UFOs, hello dragon. Without anything else interesting to craft, I used some of our fragments to create a sigil to summon the Moonlord. Not expecting much difference, I decided to try my luck anyways. This time, equipped with our dragon, we were able to take him down quite a bit, but unfortunately we couldn't escape his laser and we died. Do you remember my analogy earlier with management and stress rolling downhill? Well, that is exactly what happens here. We take out our frustrations on the mechanical skeleton and the mechanical eye just to let them know who was boss. And then wanting something a little bit more difficult, we summoned Plantera and we absolutely lit it on fire. And then that night, without making any major improvement, we summoned the Moonlord once again. And this time we ate a burger for a major stat boost versus the medium stat boost items that we've been normally using. And just before he spawns, I switched the whip for the javelin so that we can have some better range. The fight started off just like normal, but we did get a few lucky dodges here and there, and when we did take damage, it was quite a bit lower than it was before. Continuing to dodge and chip away at his health, we eventually destroyed 2 of the eyes at once. And then once we finished off the third, and after a little bit of confusion, we found his weak point in his chest. Before I could really process what was going on, we had him down to just a few thousand health. No way. Was it a burger diff? I can't believe we got him. I was prepared for a much longer grind trying to take him down. And with my primary objective completed, just like that, my 100 minus 20 days in Terraria are complete. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked the video.